Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Above the Rim Rundown, where we run down all things NBA. I am one of your hosts, Memo, and right beside me, I've got Hoops. How you doing?
What's going on, man? Overall, I've been doing all right, just pulling through, and it's been a bit of a crazy week to say the least.
Oh
But
yeah.
aside from that, just getting through the routine. How's everything going with you?
About the same. I'm very stressful. Not gonna lie. I just decided to lock in for this one math test. I only got a few weeks to study. Uh, my test is on the 31st, and it's kind of a big deal. So in order for me to get like a scholarship that I really want. So yeah, I just started studying for it. Yeah, I'm stressed about that, but it is what it is. I'm just gonna try my best to see what happens. I'm gonna try not to stress too much about it.
For sure. Definitely wish you the best of luck on
Thanks.
that, and um, I believe in you. You got this, bro.
Thank you. Thank you. Um, all right. Let's just get started because this week was insane. It was one of the
Oh,
craziest weeks
definitely.
in basketball. I like how I was listening to our podcast earlier this week, and I got I listened to it after the Bam game, which we will definitely be talking about, and I like how I talked about how this is part of the year where like nothing happens, and we kind of just struggle finding stuff to talk about. Oh boy, we have something to talk about this week. We actually got a few things to cover, so we're gonna jump into it. Start with the standings. I believe you did the West Coast last week.
I believe, yeah. So it looks like it's your turn to do West Coast this week.
All right, West Coast, the best coast. Here I go. Starting with the Kings. Oh wow, it says here that they have been eliminated from playoff contention. The only team in the West. Uh, that's makes sense. Obviously, since they have a 16-51 record, they're at 15. At 14 is the Jazz with a 20-46 record. Pelicans at 13 with a 22-45 record. Mavs at 12 with a 22-44 record. Grizzlies at 11 with a 23-42 record. Trailblazers at 10 with a 31-35 record. Warriors at 9 with a 32-33 record. Clippers at 8 with a 33-32 record. Suns at 7 with a 39-27 record. Timberwolves at 6 with a 40-26 record. Nuggets at 5 with a 41-26 record. Rockets at 4 with a 40-25 record. Our Lakers at 3 with a 41-25 record. Spurs at 2 with a 48-18 record. And at number 1, of course, it's the Thunder with a 52-15 record.
And now on to the Eastern Conference. At number 15, we got the Pacers at 15 and 51, eliminated from the playoffs. At number 14, we got the Wizards at 16 and 49, eliminated from the playoffs. At number 13, we got the Nets at 17 and 49, eliminated from the playoffs. At number 12, we got the Bulls at 27 and 38. 11, we got the Bucks at 27 and 38. 10, we got the Hornets at 34 and 33. 9, we got the Sixers 35 and 31. 8 Hawks 35 and 31. 7 Raptors 36 and 29. 6 Heat 38 and 29. 5 Magic 37 and 28. 4 Cavs 40 and 26. 3 Knicks 42 and 25. 2 Celtics 43 and 23. And sitting atop the Eastern Conference, we got the Pistons at 47 and 18. So those are the Eastern Conference standings.
All right. Let's start with this. We're gonna go over the stat line of the week. Let's try to figure out who had the best stat line. Was it Kuzma with 33 points earlier this week? Was it Campaign with 32, 8 3-pointers? That's a pretty good game for Campaign. Kelly Oubre had 30 points. They're all definitely nominees. Oh, and then what does it say right here? Bam Adebayo
Hmm.
with 83 points. What the hell? What the hell? So wonder who could possibly have stat line of the week. Hmm.
Hmm. Very challenging question. But at the end of the day, I think it has to be maybe, just maybe, the one that is the biggest number by like 50 points over the others. um, that being said, I'm sure probably everyone who is an NBA fan knows now, unless someone is living under a rock, that Bam Adebayo was able to put that crazy 83-point performance earlier this week on Tuesday. And to say there are definitely a good amount of how should we say, mixed reactions from fans, to say the least, putting it lightly. Um, some fans were happy about him doing this. Other fans were a little bit salty. And then there's also, of course, like the criticisms and the praise as well. Um, I see it this way, honestly. To get to 83 points, obviously you need to be able to, like, obviously it takes a good amount of skill to get there. Um, how you get there, obviously, there's like different ways of getting there. I will say this. I never really would have thought that it would be done by a center in this modern day and age. I would have thought like for sure a guard or someone that's like known for their shooting. I mean, granted, like Bam is like a decent shooter for a big man. Um, but to say the least, definitely didn't expect it to be from him. But I guess I might as well just go through his like exact stat line of how he got there. Um, so he shot 20 of 43 from the field, 7 of 22 from three, and he shot 36 of 43 from the free throw line. On top of that, scoring to get to 83, he also got 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and he was a plus 20. So overall, I would say it was a solid stat line. Obviously,
Solid.
we also got to
It
mention,
was all right.
uh, yeah, obviously we got to also mention 43 free throws is crazy.
That is
Um,
that's an NBA record right there.
yeah, that is crazy too. Now, okay, I'll be honest. I haven't had the opportunity to like watch how he got it yet. So you probably know better than me, honestly. Um, but I feel like I've shared a good amount of my thoughts here. Memo, what were your thoughts on Bam getting 83 points this week?
Oh, I'll say this. I'm trying my best to be like unbiased as possible, but I feel like two things could be true at once. One, it's very impressive what Bam was able to do, being able to get 83 points. However, was the basketball ethical? No, not at all. So I feel like it's impressive, but at the same time, it's unethical ball. Like it didn't start off that way. You know, the 31 points in the first quarter, he was on fire. He just straight up was on fire from the beginning. But clearly, throughout the the rest of the game, he got a lot more tired. Uh, so he couldn't score as efficiently, and it was also clear that he was gunning for the record. That was basically the point of the game for him and the Heat. It wasn't to simply just win the game. It was so that Bam could have the record. That was clear as day. Which, like, fair enough, I guess. Game is game, but like, a lot of like the unwritten rules were broken. Right, the Heat were winning by like 20 already by like the fourth quarter or whatever, and Bam still stayed in to play, uh, in order to reach all of these milestones. Obviously, The fourth quarter was just a mess. It was like that was the hardest to watch basketball you could ever imagine because it's just a free throw fest. It's either like the Heat intentionally fouling the Wizards in order to get the ball back so they could give the ball back to Bam and he can try to score. Or it's Bam on the line because he's running through a bunch of guys that can't defend and he ends up getting fouled. So that was a tough watch for sure. So again, two things could be true at once. It's impressive he got the 83, surpassing Kobe, a record that a lot of us didn't believe could happen. I believe we did talk about it once. How like during those that like time where like Luca and Joel and B were getting 70, we kind of had a feeling that it was gonna be surpassed, but not like this. Not by Bam. Bam of all people is
Oh no,
crazy. It's
it
crazy.
is.
He was averaging 18 before the game, and he ended up with 83. What the hell? How does that happen? He's not a scorer. He's a defender. That's what he's known for. That's how he got into All-Star games and into like Olympic lineups because he's a great defender. He's not known as a scorer. I know you said that he's kind of a good shooter, but like if you look at his percentages, they're not that good. Like he's not an efficient offensive scorer, but and it showed in that game. Obviously because he got tired. But he's the first player to score more than 70 and have less than 50% from the field. Um, like this was it wasn't an efficient game. He needed an NBA record setting amount of free throws in order to get to this milestone. He needed to play a crazy amount of minutes. He needed his teams to pass him his teammates to pass him the ball. He needed his teammates to foul the opposing team in order to get the ball back. He needed Spolstra to just force this milestone into the history book. It is very forced. It was a tough watch towards the end, but at the end of the day, he's got it. Second highest scoring game of all time. Congrats to Bam. Uh, and the I guess my last thought on all this is that I feel like the Wilt record is a bit more believable. I feel like there was, there's always those rumors that like it never happened. But if Bam could get 83, Wilt could for sure get 100. Like
Yeah.
what the? Like I've seen clips of Wilt like his teammate would like shoot a mid range shot, and as it's like falling towards the basket, he would just grab it mid air and just dunk it, essentially stealing his teammates' points. I'm sure like that bullshit was going on during his 100-point game. So yeah, it's so weird. We've got Wilt, Bam, and then Kobe. There's a polar bear in Arlington. It's like so weird.
Yeah, it is. Now, yeah, I will say this. Even though I wasn't able to like see the highlights per se, what you said was absolutely believable. Because like as you mentioned, Bam was averaging 18 points all year, and then out of nowhere, 83. Like what? So it all makes sense now. But like honestly, like the forced part definitely I mean obviously it happened, so like it still counts in the record book. But the way that they have to like I guess finesse his way to get there, maybe is that somewhat of like a little bit of an asterisk 83. I mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't count, but like if you compare that to the way Kobe got his 81, I think it's safe to say one is like a lot more harder than the other.
Oh yeah,
um
it's clear that
Even if
the
it was
Kobe 80 game is far superior.
definitely, and like even he himself said like because like obviously 81 is very impressive, Kobe also did mention like he missed a lot of easy shots. He felt like he could have easily gotten 100, and honestly, I think he could have. But yeah, I guess at the end of the day, point being is getting 83 points obviously is not an easy feat, and it's definitely impressive he got there. The way he got there, by shooting 43 free throws in itself, definitely makes it like I don't know if like less impressive is the right way to say it. Honestly, I just guess I would want to say like it's not the way you would like to see the player get it. I guess that's a better way of saying it. Um, but yeah, speaking of which, the Heat played their first game since Tuesday today, and do you know how many points Bam scored?
I believe
Just 21 points.
he scored
Um,
21 on like 20 shots.
yeah, which don't get me wrong, 21 points is not necessarily bad, but like that is like nowhere near 83. So like um I was thinking maybe he at least get like a 28 or like 30 something point game to follow it up, but he like barely got like a fourth of what he got.
Yeah, it's
Um
simply just not part of his game. He's not a scorer like that. Like a lot
yeah,
of things had to align in order for him to be able to surpass Kobe. Like there was no Norman Powell, there was no Tyler Hero to like take up the shots. He was facing the Wizards, who suck at defense. Like a lot had to go in his way. I if he didn't have such a hot streak at the beginning in the first, there was no way he was gonna touch like 50 points, let alone 83.
yeah, definitely crazy to say the least. Um But I guess because we mentioned a good amount of our fair share opinions on the performance, maybe now we got to bring the question. Before we asked, would Kobe's 81 get surpassed? We mentioned there would be a chance. We just didn't know who would do it. I guess now the question is, will 83 be surpassed? Um, I feel like now
Anything's possible at this
I'm gonna
point.
say yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know what it's gonna be. That's all.
I feel like
Um,
the real question now is, will the 100 be surpassed one of these
that's
days?
true.
Like,
Um, that would be very crazy though. Like,
Bam missed a lot of shots. Imagine
yeah,
if he
he
was
did.
more efficient, he would have surpassed Wilt.
Yeah,
Uh,
I was gonna say like, imagine some even crazier finesse where it's like only like continuous lobs or like continuous layups. Oh my goodness,
yeah,
that would
if it
be.
was like Shea in that situation, he would have surpassed 100 for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. Um, yeah. Honestly, I would say probably it's just a matter of time until it gets passed, as opposed to will it be passed now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Now I will say, it is obviously still very crazy that the Wilt 100 doesn't have any footage. Like, how does that happen?
There's footage of like almost everything else in that era except for the Wilt 100-point game.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I don't even know what the backstory is to why it wasn't, but yeah, very interesting to say the least. But is there anything else you would like to mention about Bam's 83, or shall we continue to the W list?
I not necessarily. I guess it was cool that he was able to do that with his mom and Asia Wilson in the crowd. Uh,
Oh yeah,
that was
that was cool.
cool. I saw this very out of pocket tweet saying that tonight Asia Wilson is gonna get Bam pregnant and to celebrate. I was like, what the hell?
Man, the internet is something else,
It's
man.
wild. So wild.
Now they take it way too far sometimes. Majority of the times, undefeated. Um,
Undefeated.
but nah, I will say I agree with you. Very cool that both his mom and Asia were in attendance. Asia and Bam, I think, make a pretty nice couple there, so that's cool.
Dude, their
Um,
baby's gonna be the goat. Their baby's gonna
oh yeah,
score 183 points in a game.
definitely, yeah. Um, so yeah, that was pretty cool. Two of his closest um people watching him get his the second highest performance in NBA history. Um, I would say W for Bam for sure.
All right, I guess we can now move on to the rest of the W list. We could start off with Shai-Gilgeous Alexander. This is a quick one. He just made history, I believe today. He has surpassed Wilt Chamberlain for the most consecutive 20-point games in NBA history. The total now is 127. So when Shea said that he is Mr. Consistent, he meant it. This is a long streak, a streak that I, you know, am surprised nobody has like surpassed. Like it's just now someone surpassed it. Like obviously, 126 games in a row is a very long streak, but we've had so many amazing scorers throughout NBA history. Michael Jordan, Kobe. If we're talking about longevity, consistency, LeBron is up there as well. So I'm surprised that it took this many years in order for Shea to be the one to uh, break this record.
Yeah, I would have to agree. As impressive as it is, don't get me wrong. 127 points, straight games, of scoring 20 plus points in a game. That is literally over like a season and a half, like one full 82 game season plus another half season gone by. Um, that is very impressive for sure. But at the same time, I agree with you. Like, I am shocked that it wasn't done before, just because, like, obviously there were other NBA players that were better than Shea. Not to say that Shea isn't great, he is. But like the guys you mentioned, obviously, um, Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, Steph, so forth. I would have not been shocked if that one of those guys got it first, but it's definitely a little bit shocking for sure that Shea was the first player to do it. But overall, shout out to him.
Yeah, and let's move on. This next player deserves a shout out, and it's Victor Wembanyama. I'm the one that put him on the W list, mostly because of I just admire how much he wants to change the NBA culture, whether it's through the All Star game, getting players to actually try, the way that he presents himself, the way that he talks to the media. He's done so much within his short career to impact the NBA in a positive way, and I think this one example, which although he got some backlash from haters, I thought this was a cool moment when Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs came back to win over the Clippers. It was a 25-point comeback, a huge game for Wemby, a very hard fought game, so much so that he claimed that he was extremely exhausted, that this was like his best game of his career, something like that. Um, and he ended up crying, like he was so exhausted, so emotional over getting this win that he started crying. And a lot of people were hating on Wemby for this, because it's a regular season game in March, so what's the big deal? But it just proves that how much he loves and cares about this game. Like he really cares about winning and being the best of the best. And a lot of the people that are hating, like Jason Williams, they didn't do much in their career. The most that he was able to do is do this cool elbow pass. That's his highlight of his career. Wemby's already a two-time All-Star. He's gonna be in the All NBA if he's healthy. Possibly gonna win his first Defensive Player of the Year this year. Uh, will probably win championships and MVPs as the main guy instead of getting carried by Dwayne Wade. Like, how could you hate this guy? How could you hate a man for wanting to be successful, to wanting to be the best, for wanting to win? That's kind of the point of sports, is to do your best and hopefully win it, win the games, win a chip, so on. So yeah, we didn't really talk about this at all this week. So I am curious about your thoughts on this.
Well, first off, that comeback was very impressive, knowing that the Spurs were down by 25 and had to do it against the Clippers team that has been playing well. Um, I was like watched a little bit of that game, mostly because like I was in the gym and the game was on the TV, and I basically saw the part when the Spurs were getting destroyed, and I was just over there thinking like, what the hell happened to this team? Like they're literally they had been playing well, and they were doing really good, and they literally beat the Pistons, who were the number one seed in the East the previous night. And then suddenly night they were just did not show up, and they were down by as much as 25 against the Clippers at home. I was just very confused, like what was going on. And then suddenly I saw the Spurs were slowly coming back, cutting into the deficit. And at the end, when I saw that the Spurs actually completed the deficit and won, I was definitely very impressed. I was like, wow, that's amazing. And yeah, clearly Wemby was the reason why, putting up such a great performance. And I could see where people are coming from by saying, like, what's the big deal? It's a regular season game. But the fact of the matter is, they did come back from down 25, which is not no easy task whatsoever. On top of that, they did it against a team that has actually been playing good. They didn't do it against some like lottery team. So there's that. So my point is like Wemby showing emotion after that comeback is not a bad thing at all. I think it makes sense. And he should, to be honest, because like it takes a lot of skill and dedication to come back from a deficit like that. So overall, W Wemby, W Spurs, and it was great seeing the Clippers choke that game. Vintage Clippers performance.
You love to see it.
Definitely.
Um, all right, let's move on to the next topic. Would you like to talk about or start off with this one?
Yeah. So the next one on the W list, I put as three teams together, that being Thunder, Spurs, and Pistons. The reason being that these three teams all get grouped in the W list together is because all of them have already clinched the playoffs with just barely under a month remaining in the regular season. So good for these teams. Um, Now that they've already secured their spot, all they really have to do is play for seeding. And for the most part, it seems like these teams are basically just going to be where they are now. Pistons have a comfortable lead in the Eastern Conference. OKC is number one in the West. Spurs are number two in the West. Um, Thunder has, I believe, a 3.5 game lead over the Spurs, and the Spurs have like a 7.5 game lead over the Rockets and the Lakers. So chances are those teams are just gonna get their current seeds in the playoffs. But yeah, good for these teams. They've been playing good basically all year long, and now they have clinched early on. So shout out to them. Um, Next team on the W list is our Lakers. They have been playing a lot better lately, to say the least, which is good. They are currently on a 4-game win streak, wins against the Pacers, Knicks, Wolves, and Bulls. and they have won 7 of 8 overall. That one loss being against the Nuggets in Denver, which is a good team, so no shame there. Speaking of which, we do play the Nuggets again on Saturday, this time at home. Hopefully, we can beat them. It's not going to be
Hopefully.
easy. It's not going to be easy, but we'll see. Nuggets have been playing really good lately, so um, yeah, it's not going to be no easy task. But yeah, the Nuggets are. I just quickly mentioned Nuggets. They destroyed the Rockets by like 35 points on yesterday, and then they beat the Spurs in San Antonio. So pretty impressive there. Speaking of which, though, I will say on the Lakers side of things, they have been playing really well. But I think this next 5 games will prove a lot, like exactly where this team is. Reason why, like low key, the Lakers have a gauntlet coming. So they play Nuggets at home, and then they have 2 3 games against the Rockets, both in Houston. I don't know why they had to do that to us, but like they better win at least one of those two. Um, so those are the first 3 games, and then they play the 2 Florida games. They play at Miami and at Orlando. So yeah, it's going to be a tough stretch. I think it's going to prove where this team really is, and hopefully we can at least go like 3-2 or 4-1. We shall see. Um, Anything you would like to mention? I guess in either of the teams I've mentioned in W so far, Lakers or even Thunder, Spurs, Pistons.
Um, I'll start with the Thunder Spurs Pistons just quickly. Uh, I just want to mention like how, how surprising it is seeing that the Spurs and Pistons are two of the first three teams to clinch a playoff spot. I don't think any of us would have predicted that coming into the season. And yeah, we'll see how well they do in the playoffs. I'm expecting pretty big things from both teams, mostly the Spurs. I do think the Spurs could make some waves, but we'll see. We'll see about that. The Lakers, though, this was a huge week. This being able to beat the Wolves was huge, especially. It helped us out seeding wise. We're currently third seed right now. Um, that's big. Luka's been phenomenal. Just today, he scored 51, his like Lakers career high. So yeah, I'm hoping this continues. Obviously, the next stretch is going to be very difficult, but if they're able to, you know, have a winning record, be able to stay in the third seed, and Luka keeps going off, uh, I feel like then maybe finally people will start putting Luka in the MVP conversation because like he plays like an MVP, but nobody talks about him as an MVP. Like people mention Kate Cunningham or Jalen Brown before Luka, which is insane. Luka is like one of the best offensive players in the league. It's like Jokic than him. I know Shea is phenomenal, but he does not do what Luka does on the offensive end. Shea is better defensively, but offensively, Luka is an animal. So the fact that he's not in these conversations is honestly like it's just hater shit. Like let's be honest. Like people are hating on him, um, just because he's Luka. He can't play defense and he's a Laker. That's it. Uh, like compare like the Bam reaction with the Luka reaction when he scored 73. Like obviously Bam received like a lot of hate from fans, but like from the media, like Stephen A. Smith was praising Bam, but when Luka scored 73, Stephen A. Smith was talking about how the NBA needs to change. It's too easy to score. There's no defense in the NBA. I'm making a big deal about all this because Luka was able to efficiently score 73. There's an agenda against Luka for some reason, and I hate it. Like this man is an MVP caliber player, currently top three in the West. The reason why he hasn't won MVP is because his team's never good. Well, right now they're doing good. So if they keep it up, then what's the argument on why he doesn't deserve MVP? Like, I don't see it. So yeah, a little right there, a little sidetracked, but like that's my guy. Like I've been rooting for this guy since Dallas. I've been wanting to see him win an MVP for so long. He gets disrespected so many times. Like, what's going on? Why is it like this?
Yeah, I definitely have to agree on the Luca disrespect. It's very crazy to say the least. Like, shown pretty much ever since he entered the league, like how great of a player he is. He has been one of 1A, 1B, arguably the best point guard in the league, and definitely one of the top scorers in the league. And as you said it, for some reason, a lot of people just hate Luca. And I feel like it's mostly these three factors. One, they don't like his play style for some reason. Two, they hate that he's on the Lakers. And three, they don't like that he is LeBron's teammate. So I feel like those are the main reasons why people like to hate on Luca. But like even before he was a Laker, I feel like would I say he had less hate than now? Maybe a little bit, just because he wasn't a Laker and it wasn't LeBron's teammate. But like I know that a lot of people also didn't like him because they didn't like his play style, or like they think he complains too much to the refs for calls or something, which I think is still dumb to like discredit him for how great of a player he is. But yeah, point blank is Luka's greatness needs to stop being disrespected. Um, and shout out to him for getting 51 today. Oh, and very quickly though, on the topic of the Lakers, I do want to also give a shout out to Austin Reeves because pretty cool little step note. He the word out there was that he reached 5K points in scoring today. And knowing the fact that he was originally undrafted makes it for sure like extra impressive. He was drafted. I mean, he entered the, or he wasn't drafted, but like he entered the league in 2021. So now he is in year 5. And to say he's definitely been, I would say, overachieving because if a player is undrafted, you don't really expect much from them. And he has become the number 3, you can even argue number 2 option on the team now. So, yeah, shout out to Austin. And I believe there was another note. Here's the other note about Austin this game. So Lakers to record 35-5 with 0 free throw attempts. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Austin Reeves. That's it. That's pretty impressive. 30 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, no free throws. So yeah, shout out Austin, shout out Luka, and shout out Lakers.
Shout out Lakers. All right, let's cover the last portion of the W list. Here are just a few teams that have had pretty good win streaks, and you're gonna tell me which one is the most surprising. Okay, so we're gonna start off with the Magic, who have a 6 game win streak. They beat the Wizards twice, Mavs, Timberwolves, Bucks, Cavs. Then we have the Heat, 7 game win streak against the Rockets, Nets twice, Hornets, Pistons, Wizards, Bucks. And then we've got the Hawks with an 8 game win streak, Nets twice, Wizards twice, Blazers, Bucks, 76ers, and Mavs. I will say, I feel like the competition for all 3 of these teams weren't that crazy. But you let me know, which one was the most impressive in your opinion?
Okay, so I think that there's definitely different ways of answering this question. I'm saying this. If you're talking about most impressive, as in like most shocking that I did not see coming at all, easily the Hawks. Because like we mentioned, like they were on the W list last week, and basically they still haven't lost since. So they happen to be here again. But basically what happened is obviously Hawks giving up Trey. You don't really expect much from there. You think, oh, season is probably just gonna go to take mode, go to the lottery, you name it. But not looking like it. They somehow are on an 8-game win streak. Granted, not a lot of good teams here. Um, Matter of fact, only one above 500 being the Sixers. But nonetheless, they 8-game win streak is an 8-game win streak. It is not easy to do in this league or any sport in general. So still easily very impressive. Um, but if we were to talk about like which one do I think is the most impressive overall, low key, I might have to go with the Heat because, like, as you mentioned, it's not necessarily the greatest competition from any of these teams, but I feel like the Heat has at least played the more amount of tough teams. Like they beat the Rockets, who are a good team. They beat the Hornets, who have been playing really good until they beat them. Matter of fact, when the Heat beat the Hornets, I believe they were the ones that snapped their 6-game win streak or whatever it was. So that's impressive. And then they beat the Pistons, the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. And then the other teams are trash. But I would say the Heat is the most impressive in terms of competition. So overall, I would say I mentioned Hawks impressive because of unexpected. I mentioned Heat because of competition. Magic is obviously impressive in itself, but overall, if I were to give one final answer, which one I think is actually the most impressive, I would say the Heat due to the quality of teams they've beaten.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna do a curveball. I'm gonna actually say Magic, uh, mostly because the Heat and Hawks, they're all right. Those teams are good. The Magic though, like earlier this year, they were trash. So the fact that they're like making this comeback and they're able to do it without Franz Wagner, who's been out, um, and I think they beat the best team here with the Timberwolves. Oh, actually, Heat beat the Pistons. The Pistons are probably better, so never mind. But still, Timberwolves, Cavs, those are two great teams. Um, I'm gonna just go with the Magic. Just try to be different, I guess.
Fair enough. Now, I will say this. If you were to ask which one of these teams would I like trust more to like potentially make more noise in the playoffs, easily the Magic.
You think
Um,
so?
I think so.
Actually,
I mean, do I do
maybe.
I necessarily think that they're gonna go like that far? I don't know about that, but I feel like they would be the team that like might have like the best chance of the three. I think
Yeah, he have
just
like
because,
injury problems with Tyler
yeah,
Hero especially, and then the Hawks, very unproven. Got just a
yeah,
random bag of players. No true superstar, but they do have an all star with Jalen Johnson.
yep, that is true. So yeah, I would say like Franz gets healthy, then basically sky's the limit for this team.
And I think
I don't know
Paulo
if they're
did
gonna
pretty
go.
well during the playoffs last year.
Yeah, he did. So I guess maybe after some experience, they can potentially make the next step. Won't be easy, but we shall see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Uh,
Yeah, but I guess is it time to move on to the L list now?
yes, it is, and uh, I'll get things started with Lou Dort. You can't spell Lou Dort without the L, right? He deserves to be on the L list today. Mostly because of like what's been going on throughout this entire season, these last 2 weeks, especially with like the Nuggets. I don't know why it's always the Nuggets and Jokic specifically, but he keeps like doing these dirty plays, which you know have been rubbing people the wrong way, have been rubbing Jokic the wrong way. Obviously, the huge scuffle where like Jokic and Big Jalen Williams were going at it. That was started because of Lou Dort like blatantly dirty play. He had another one recently where I believe Jokic set a screen, and Dort was like going through the screen, but as he was going through, he somehow like whipped his arm backwards in order to hit Jokic in the face. I hate. Oh my god, the announcers were so bad. The Thunder announcers, they were complaining, Jokic is flopping. He didn't even touch Jokic. All Jokic does is pretend to get hurt. And then the replay shows Lou Dort smacking Jokic in the face. Silence. Absolute silence. They were clearly embarrassed because they were clearly wrong. Lou Dort is a dirty player. Of course he connected. Like, what the hell? Like, come on. So, yeah. It's getting so bad. People were saying that, since this Jason Tatum has been ruled out against the Thunder, people are saying that the real reason is because they don't want Tatum to get hurt again by Luke Dort because Luke Dort is probably going to do something in order to get Tatum hurt. So, yeah. Yeah, he has to be in the L list. Like, this guy is consistently just hurting people, um, you know, in the name of basketball. But, like, yeah, it's not
Yeah.
fun to watch.
I would have to agree with you for sure on that one. I did hear about the rumor about why Tatum was out though. I saw there was a post from Underdog, the betting platform. It says Jason Tatum out, Lou Dort. Like the reason is because Lou Dort, basically, translation, does not run a risk getting injured again, which is smart. But I do think that it does like make a funny coincidence for sure. Um, but yeah, honestly, Lou Dort and his 30 plays definitely needs to stop for sure. I mean, like, he is a great defender and he is a really good player for sure, but he definitely does go overboard a lot of the times as well. And it's just very hard to watch at times, to say the least, because you don't want to see players getting hurt due to like cheap shots like that. So I would say Lou Dort is definitely very worthy of being on the L list for that very reason.
All right, cool. So that was the only player on the L list this week, but we do have a couple teams. Um, you wanna start this one off?
Yeah. So the first team I have on the L list is the Timberwolves. Timberwolves were playing really good. They had climbed all the way up to the third seed. But recently, this team in this past week has started to lose some games and all in bad blowout fashion. They are currently on a 3-game losing streak, losses to the Magic, Lakers, and Clippers. Um, they lost against the Magic by 27. They lost against the Lakers by I believe 20 or like at least 15. And then they lost against the Clippers by like 25. So like a lot of very brutal, embarrassing losses there for sure. Um, and I will mention during that game against the Lakers, Ant had a very poor performance. He only went 2 of 15 shooting, 1 of 10 from three. So yeah, That was not a good performance. Um, but yeah, it has been a rough week for the Timberwolves. I'm sure they'll bounce back and they'll probably be fine, but due to these embarrassing losses, had to include them on the L list for this week.
Yeah, like usually this is the part of the season where the Timberwolves start like amping it up and getting ready for the playoffs, but it seems like the opposite. They've been struggling. That loss against the Lakers was very huge. Like I'm sure they would want to run that back because they slid down the standings and Luca embarrassed Ants. I don't know if you remember that one commercial uh, for Adidas, and they were kind of like poking fun of Luca and his like how he gets fatigued easily. Um, it was not the case for this game. Luca was the one destroying. Um, so in a way, got a revenge there. Um, yeah, things aren't looking too good for the Timberwolves. They need to, do something about that soon because it's almost the playoffs and they don't want to continue sliding down uh, you know, the seedings and not have a good momentum going into the playoffs because that's what they need. That's what they've been doing these last few years. But right now, it's looking a little scary.
Yeah, definitely have to agree there. Um, Usually, this is the time where Timberwolves turn it on, and they were until this past week. I'm sure they'll probably get back on track, but yeah, they got to do so quickly because, as we know, this Western Conference playoff race is very tight. Um, from 3 to 7, it can move very drastically. You lose some games, you can drop from 3 all the way down to 7. You win some games, you could move from 7 all the way down up to 3. Um, so yeah, it shall be a very interesting um, last 3 4 weeks of the season to see how the seeding finishes. Um, so I think that could bring us now to the next team, final team on the L list, being the Warriors. Um, they are currently on a 3 game losing streak, and they lost 5 out of 6 overall. Losses to the Lakers, Clippers, Thunder, Jazz, and Bulls. Their only win was, funny enough, at Houston against a team that's actually good, winning in overtime. Haha, shout out Warriors for beating the Rockets and helping with the seeding. um, but yeah, these are some like very bad games by the Warriors. Lost against two of the worst teams here, Jazz and the Bulls, and they lost against some good teams. Obviously, context is the Warriors are still been without Steph for probably about a month now. I'm sure probably even longer than a month, really. And I believe they said he's going to be out at least like 1 maybe 2 weeks more. But he should be back somewhat soon, and his return will definitely help them. Question is, how much better will they be really with Steph back? I don't know. I mean, this team is just not very good. So, yeah, there's that. And then on top of that, obviously, Porzingis and his questionable illness, whatever that is going on, we don't know about him. So, yeah, Warriors have not been doing good lately. And in the process, they also slid in the standings. They were the eighth seed for the longest. Now the Clippers have surpassed them, and the Warriors are now the ninth seed. So, yeah, Warriors are on the L list for those listed reasons.
Yeah, the Warriors. It's over for the Warriors. Like it's over. Ever since Jimmy got injured, it's been game over for the Warriors. There's no reason why they should be fighting for a play-in spot or like a playoff spot because they're just gonna get swept. Honestly,
Oh,
um,
easily.
easily.
Honestly, if I were them, I would just tank and try to get a better draft pick and prepare for 26-27 season.
Yeah, I don't
Because as
think
you mentioned,
they could
go ahead.
take enough because they
Yeah, I
have
agree.
the Grizzlies are out of the play-in. They have 10 less wins than the Warriors right now. So like,
Yeah, yeah, that's true. They're basically in a lose-lose situation,
yeah.
and it's like either either you are gonna miss the you're gonna make the play-in and you're gonna get knocked out in the play-in and miss the playoffs, or you make the playoffs and very likely you're gonna get swept by OKC or maybe even the Spurs. If you somehow make it to sevens, which I know is not gonna happen, I don't think. um, but yeah, Warriors look all but cooked at the moment and probably will keep they'll probably stay the ninth, honestly. If they're lucky, maybe they can gain back their eighth only if the Clippers start losing again. But right now, it doesn't seem likely. They're probably going to be ninth.
Yeah, probably. All right, so that's it for the Ellis. We do have a couple of NBA news that we could talk about. The first one, very random, very kind of funny. It's such a weird story. So apparently, what the Hawks were planning to do was have this promotional night against the Magic, and they were gonna call it Magic City, named after like that very famous strip club in Atlanta. And their viewpoint, I guess, about this is like Magic City is a very what's the word? Significant business in Atlanta. It's part of their culture, which like, hey, you guys do you all right? But like, yeah. So that was the plan, and they were gonna have. Actually, I'll leave that for the end. But basically, what happened recently, Luke Kornet wrote an article talking about how they shouldn't do this because it's disrespectful for women, and I understand his viewpoint. My biggest issue with it in general is that like I feel like this isn't something that should be you know around kids. The NBA is a family oriented event. I went my first basketball game. I went as a kid with my dad. Right, a lot of people had that same you know, I guess event. I'm losing my train of thought here, but a lot of people grew up watching basketball. That's how they became basketball fans. They went to the games as kids. There's a lot of kids now that are loving the NBA. So having a game that's very that has this like weird promotion where they're essentially celebrating a strip club is weird. So I understand Luke Cornet's point there. Um, and I guess the NBA also agrees because Adam Silver recently issued a statement canceling it. They're no longer calling it Magic City. But like a lot of the things that they were planning on doing, they're still gonna do. Like Ti is still gonna perform, or did he perform? Did this game happen already? I don't even know. No, it didn't
Um,
because both of
no, it
these
didn't
teams
because
have.
both of them are on a win
Yeah,
streak.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So Ti is going to perform. Uh, the pre-ordered merch are still gonna be given out to the people who bought it. So, if you wanted a hoodie that said Magic City on it, you should have pre-ordered. They're still gonna have, fine culinary arts there, aka they're gonna have wings, it's being served. A lot of aspects of Magic City is still gonna be there. A few of the other aspects aren't, like some podcasts or whatever, talking about like the history of Magic City, or I really don't know, but basically they're just not calling it Magic City, but still doing a lot of the things that revolved around the promotional night. So yeah, this one was a weird one, um, for sure. It's just weird how it happened in general. Like, who who let this slide to begin with? Like honestly, it's weird. It's kind of funny. And again, my thing is just the kids aspect. Like the kids don't need to be around an area promoting and celebrating a strip club. They can learn about that later on with their parents when the parents want to introduce those topics with them, not at a basketball game. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I will say a lot of the stuff you said, I definitely agree. Obviously, should not be strip clubs should not be mentioned at a setting with kids. That's for sure. Especially knowing kids like tend to get very curious, so they like to ask a lot of questions to the parents and stuff like that. How are the parents going to explain to their kids what's going on if they have all that? And like they're gonna be like, oh, they're gonna make, Dad, what is Magic City? Oh, son, that's just a very fun place to that has fun activities for adults. Oh, what type of fun activities? Oh, like good food, good music, dancing. And then yeah, the point being is like there's gonna be a lot of confused kids that will want to learn more, but parents are gonna be put in an awkward situation because they shouldn't be talking about this to their kids, but they're just gonna keep bugging them probably. So like point being is like, yeah, a lot of things you said very um very much was true. Like why would they do this in a family oriented setting? I don't know. Now it is good that they are gonna like cancel the promotion. But as you said, they're basically gonna be still doing the stuff. They just removed the name, so it's basically no different. Um, yeah, very random for sure. I guess it makes sense they chose to promote Magic City when playing against the Magic.
That part was
Um,
clever. I did like that part.
yeah, that is funny. I guess at the end of the day, yeah, I don't know why they chose to do this, but I guess shout out Lemon Pepper Lou for giving them any ideas, because I'm sure that might have been what led to at
Maybe,
least some influence.
maybe. If
Yeah,
I
I mean, I hear that apparently they are known for their food, which is like and wings, which you don't really think of like a strip club being known for like food, but I guess Magic City is one of them that is.
Yeah, I heard low key like strip clubs are the place to go for wings, like especially in Atlanta. But I'm sure around here as well, like you could get surprisingly good food at a strip club. I wouldn't
Yeah,
know. I wouldn't know
yeah.
though.
I wouldn't know. We haven't been to one.
if I somehow pre-ordered the Magic City hoodie, would you wear it out in public?
um, ooh. Look, if I wanted to be a troll, maybe I'll do it. But I feel like it would just be like too awkward to do, so probably not. Um, maybe if I went out there, I'll do it out there.
You'll do
But
it.
I don't. Yeah, but I don't think I'll do it here though.
You'll
Like in
assimilate to their
California.
culture.
Yeah, I'll blend into the culture if that's what might make sense. But yeah, I feel like it would just be like too random and weird to do out here. So probably
Yeah,
not out here. Would you do
I don't know.
it?
All right, we got one more story to talk about, and it's about Dwight Howard. He has officially retired from basketball, which is kind of funny to say that because isn't he a Hall of Famer now?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's what I thought. I mean, like, I'm like, wait, don't you need to be like retired to be accepted in the Hall of Fame?
Well, he retired from the
Um,
NBA a while ago, but he was playing overseas for a bit.
True.
But I think it's been like a
Yeah.
year or so since he's played overseas. So
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that really confused me about this then. Because like I had thought that he had already retired, as you said, like years ago. But I guess apparently he didn't make it official. That's why now it's considered officially retired. And granted, he only played 1 year overseas, I believe. It was in Taiwan. And personally, I think that he's still good enough to have been on an NBA roster after that. But for some reason, I guess teams just didn't really look into him as like an option. I mean, hell, the trash ass centers that the Lakers had, I feel like the Dwight Howard would not have been any worse. He probably would have been better than damn Jackson Hayes, DeAndre Ayton, to be honest. Like maybe not this year, I wouldn't know. But like those guys playing that bad, like I highly doubt he could be any worse. But yeah, my point is like I feel like the White easily could have been the league like another at least 1 to 2 more seasons. But I guess the league just kind of looked past like those type of big men. And overall though, the White put up, I think, a pretty solid career. Obviously, starting out with Orlando, he has a lot of franchise leading stats for the Magic. I don't know what exactly, but arguably the best player in franchise history for the Magic. I guess you can argue between him, Shaq, and probably it would mainly be him and Shaq, honestly. Um, Maybe if you want, you can argue. Actually, no, I don't think so. I was gonna say maybe like Penny Hardaway, but I feel like he wouldn't quite be on their level. But yeah, my point is like he did like so much for Magic as a franchise that he's easily like number one, number two for the Magic all time. And then he did get his jersey retired by them, I believe, last season. So shout out to him there. Um, After that, he basically did become a journeyman. Obviously, we know he was first traded to the Lakers. Didn't do good the first stint was Kobe. And then led to him going to Houston, was Harden on the Rockets. Had his moments, was nowhere near his Orlando self, but still had some pretty solid years. And then basically jumping around from there. 1 year stops in Atlanta, Charlotte, Washington. And he was like solid, not great. I do remember his 1 year was the Hornets, though. He was like pretty close to making the All-Star, but barely didn't get selected. And then the Washington year, he only played 9 games before getting injured. I will say though, like when he came back to the Lakers and played as like more of a bench warming piece instead of like the center, he did a lot better fitting in. So it definitely made me forgive him for how things didn't work the first time. Cause like, yeah, we didn't really like the White too much for the way things ended the first run with Kobe and the failed super team attempt. But I was able to like earn back his respect after he like accepted his role for the championship run. And then obviously he made that 1 year pit stop in Philly, did pretty good, and then he came back on the Lakers for unfortunately another one of those failed super teams. But he still did his part though. Speaking of which though, I do remember the one Lakers game we went to against the Clippers where in the beginning the White was like taking over. He scored like I want to say he maybe scored like around 10 straight points for a run, something like that. I mean, I don't remember the exact details, but my point is like I feel like even after Dwight was no longer a superstar, all-star in the league anymore, he was still a solid like role role piece energy guy still with his explosive dunks, still being a solid defender and haha even every now and then shooting some threes and making them at the end of his career. So those were fun to see. And I will say this, that the White and JaVale duo on the championship team was really fun to watch. man, do I miss that. Back when we actually had solid centers on the team. But yeah, overall, I gotta say, shout out to Dwight for a great career. Um, and the Hall of Fame was well deserved.
Yeah, shout out to Dwight. One type chip. Won it with our Lakers. As he said, he was huge. He was like the Jokic stopper, right? He played amazing defense against Jokic. So, yeah, he's a one-time champ. He's obviously in the Hall of Fame. 8-time All Star, 10-time rebound. Sorry, 5-time rebound chip. 2-time block chip. Uh, 8-time All NBA. 5-time All Defensive. 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. Um, a snub for top 75. One of the best defenders of all time. One of the best rebounders of all time. Um, yeah, had such a fruitful and amazing career. So I hope that he enjoys his retirement. Shout out to Dwight Howard.
Definitely. And I will say, he does have a very good, funny personality. It would be cool to see him in like NBA studio for like talk shows. That'd be fun, low
Yeah.
key.
All right. I feel like we covered everything that we wanted to today. It was a very weird, fun episode. I hope you all enjoyed it. Let us know your thoughts on what happened this week, especially with Bam scoring 83. That's insane. That's insane. But yeah, make sure if you're on YouTube, leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you're on an audio platform like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star rating and review. Check out our socials. I posted a TikTok this week finally, like right after the game. I just had to say something. So yeah, maybe I'll start posting there consistently. We'll see. But yeah, hoops. Is there anything you want to say before we head out?
Basically, just mirroring what Memo said. Per usual, if you guys like your content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, follow us on all platforms, and make sure to stay tuned because we will continue to do our weekly recaps. We will implement some fun games and fun things to cover as well. And as you know, season is winding down. We are now under a month from the playoffs, I believe, or just around a month from the playoffs. So that's exciting. You don't want to miss it. Um, Hope you guys have a great day, night, and week. Catch you guys on the next one.
Bye, everybody.